If you're new to Hyrox, here are 7 tips that are going to help you improve your time and make your whole Hyrox experience a load better. Number 1, master the basics of running. Keep things simple. You don't need to start with all the crazy Hyrox workouts. Ignore what other people are doing. Get good at running. It's over half of the Hyrox race. If you're not good at running, it's going to be really difficult. So start building up your running. That can start with long, slow runs. That can start with short, slow runs if you're a real beginner. Just build it up, work to your level, get good at running. Don't overcomplicate things. And then once you're working on your running, work on the foundational movement patterns. So things like your squats, things like your deadlifts. So when you're doing your wall balls, you can get down into that squat to be able to do it. That's something we've both worked on as well, isn't it? Working on flexibility and movement.
Yeah, because I noticed the other day when I did my wall balls, one side goes slightly lower than the other side. So I'm consciously trying to move to one side, but through stretching and practice, they have definitely got better.
Well, good. I'll give you a bonus tip at the end to help everybody with that.
Ooh. Also with running, don't just do it on the treadmills. Try and get outside, do it in the fresh air. I know running outside is a lot harder. I've been pushing myself to do that, especially when it's cold, windy, rainy. But the difference between treadmill and running outside is massive, isn't it? It's like so much easier to run on the treadmill.
It is easy to run on the treadmill. I think treadmills do have their place. If you do a lot of running on concrete outside and then you do a lot and you're not used to doing a lot of running, you are going to get some issues. Yeah. So the treadmills will just give you that little bit more spring to them. If they're decent treadmills, take some of the pressure off your knees. But yeah, you definitely need to get good at actually running outside compared to just doing all your runs on the treadmills. Number 2, get good at pacing. That goes for your running and that goes for everything you do in Hyrox. So if you're doing a Hyrox race or a Hyrox simulation or practicing your training for Hyrox, if you get to the workout part after the run and your heart rate's through the roof, that workout part's going to be really difficult. Just as if you finish that workout part and your heart rate's through the roof, the next run's going to be really difficult. So it is learning how to pace your running and pace pushing the sled. And that's one for beginners as well. You don't have to push it the full 12.5 meters.
You just want to get it done though, but I've learned not to do that. Have a little rest. There was someone that raced actually, Lucy Proctor, and said that on the ski erg when she was doing her elite race, she could see everyone running off past her and she stuck to her game plan. Yeah,
I think she was one of the last coming out of the ski ergs.
And came 5th. So it just shows you, too many people go off fast, don't they? You're like, that's going to hurt.
Yeah, that's a big part of the pacing is learning that bit at the beginning, not to shoot off really too quick and being
excited.
But yeah, all that adrenaline kicks in. And it's also then learning how to pace everything. The way to get good at pacing stuff is to do simulations and practice them.
Yeah.
It is to get used to running slowly and try running slow and then doing everything else. Then build things up from it.
Our best race back in January 24 was when we did a lot of running at all the horrible, uncomfortable stuff, basically. The running outside, trying different things, getting lower, going earlier, doing it in the afternoon. If we had to do it in the afternoon.
That's another thing. Get used to training in the heat. If you can train in the heat, get used to training in the heat a bit because the venues are generally warm. They'll often have aircon on, but because they're busy, they're warm. Yeah. So if you're running outside and think, it's too hot to run outside, maybe get used to running in the heat a bit, or when it's cold, layer up a bit, or when you're in the treadmill, don't chuck a fan on. Just get running and get used to being in that heat. Number 3, break it all down into manageable chunks. So this can be the race, this can be your training. This is to help you with the mentality of, or if you start your race and you're thinking of the wall balls and you're on the ski erg or your first run, that you're going to be thinking, this is really hard, this is really hard. If you're just thinking, I'm doing this run, after this run, I'm going to do the ski erg. And that's as far as you need to think ahead. And same with your training. If you're thinking what you're doing for the last 15 minutes, when you're in the first 5 minutes, just focus on the section you're on and what you're doing.
Yeah, I have learned to do that now. I have to keep bringing it back. But at the beginning, I used to worry about the wall balls all the way through the race.
Yeah. You need to know what's coming up ahead of you to pace yourself for it.
Yeah.
So that's going back to pacing. But you don't want to have your mind in that set and have the mentality of thinking, and we're going to do the wall balls. Don't even worry about it. Worry about the ski erg. Then your next run.
Exactly.
Then break it all down into manageable chunks. That'll really help. And practice that in your training, and then that'll then be way easier to do when you then do it in your actual Hyrox event. Tip number 4, master the rock zone. What I mean by that is use it how you want to use it, and know how you're going to use it beforehand.
Basically, the floor is lava.
Right, so what I'm going to say on that is...
I don't let you stop 1 second.
No, but learn to run the rock zone. Unless you're a complete beginner, then use that rock zone as a little bit of a rest.
We didn't.
No, we didn't, but then there's people who are doing this who are going to be doing it in 2 hours. If you're doing a Hyrox in 2 hours, you're probably going to benefit from having a little bit of a walk and stopping at the drink station, have a sip of drink, letting your heart rate come back down again, then go again. I can say to you, pace the sleds, pace this, pace that. Your heart rate's still going to go up. So if you then feel after you've done that, a little walk in the rock zone for 10 seconds to calm everything back down is going to help you, then that's going to help. If you're going for faster and faster times, then no, you're going to run the rock zone. The rock zone then just becomes part of your actual run, which is why the Hyrox race is not 8 kilometers. It's something like 8.7. And I'll have a guess that kind of varies from venue to venue what the distance is. So if you only ever train for 8, time to start training for maybe go 8.8, just make it nice and round. Add that extra bit of running if you're in the gym to what you're doing. Or if you're going to take that as a walk when you're doing it, take it as a walk. But have that plan beforehand. So if you're thinking, I'm going to run all the rock zone, and then you start walking it, that's not in line with what you planned. If you plan to do your walks, do your walks. Have a plan, stick to it. Part of what you can do in your training is practice those transitions. So get good and get used to going straight from your, let's use the lunges example, lunges straight into your run. So you might hear some people say, well, it's all just running, you don't need to do compromised running. When you're a beginner and your legs are pumped up, or even if you're not a beginner, even if you're just an intermediate or anyone who's not probably an elite 15, your legs are going to get pumped up from the lunges.
Mine did the other day from not lunges. What did I do new? And I told you, and I ran afterwards, and my legs were
What were you doing? Sled
push and wall balls, and I hadn't done them for 3 months.
So it's like the more you do, the more your body gets used to them, the less of a pump you'll get because things get stronger. When you're doing it and your legs are pumped up, you do need to then get used to running on them.
Yeah.
So get used to the transitions between going from a run to a workout, from a workout to a run. They both work. That's why it's good to chuck into your training some compromised runs and some compromised workouts. Check out the Instagram page. We post quite a lot on them. Tip number 5, hydration and nutrition. It shouldn't just all be something completely new and something you do on race day. This should be something that you do all the time. This should be your lifestyle. This should be your training. It shouldn't come to your Hyrox race and go, I think I'm supposed to get really hydrated for this race, so I'm going to drink 3 litres of water and take a load of electrolytes before I do it. That's not the way to do it. The hydration, your body in hydration starts the week before.
So we got headaches when we first started doing Hyrox.
Training, sweating.
Yeah. And then we were like, why do I keep getting headaches? But then I didn't really drink more.
Didn't drink enough and didn't have enough electrolytes.
Yeah, so if anyone else has done this, let us know below.
So now it's habit each morning to have an electrolyte drink. But that's the same with nutrition. Rather than thinking, right, what is my race day nutrition? I've heard you should have rice cakes with honey and this and this. Never try anything new on race day that you haven't done before in training. That goes with gels, that goes with everything.
We've done it all, haven't we? Made the mistakes, got the bellyache.
Tip number 6 is what you wear on your feet. So many different people wear so many different brands, so many different trainers. There's loads of different ones you can wear that'll work well. If you're ever unsure, I just have to. We wear the Puma ones.
We do. You thought Puma would be cool. So not
back in the game, aren't they?
They're back in the game. But you know why it makes me want to strangle myself? It's the amount of people that ask the same questions in the Hyrox community page on Facebook.
If people don't know, they don't know. They're going to ask the questions.
Please forgive me for this. But
same reason why somebody's been watching this video going, what trainer should I wear? So there's lots of different ones. The thing is to try them and find out for yourself. If you don't want to go through a load of different trainers, the Puma ones are kind of made for Hyrox.
Yeah, they are.
We've even got ones with Hyrox road across them now.
Yeah, so that's what we've got.
You just want ones which are decent for running, but also have a decent grip for the sleds. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Finding the right trainers does take time.
Yeah, the more you train, the more you do it, the more you'll go, actually, these are good for running. And what you'll probably get after you've trained for a while, you might have certain trainers that you say for a longer run, which I've got. I like my Hockers for my longer run.
Oh, you wear so many.
And then the Puma ones where I'm doing stuff where I need running and more grip.
So you've got these other ones.
Well, if I was just doing weight training, I'm going to wear whatever I'm wearing for weight training. So number 7 is do some simulations in your training. Get to know what it's like. You wouldn't go and play a match of football without playing football and training football before. Why do it with Hyrox? Especially if you're at a gym that's got all the kit, do one. Do one. You don't have to do it the day before you go and do your Hyrox.
No, don't.
But you definitely want to be doing some so you know what the feeling is like. That's how you learn your pacing. Yeah. That's when you can then go, okay, when I'm doing the wall balls, I need to do 100, but I keep getting no reps. 1, because I'm knackered, and 2, because I'm not very good at hitting the target. Right, you're probably going to have to practice wall balls more, and you're probably then going to want to do it. So in your training, you don't do 100 wall balls. You want to get it where you do 120. Knowing that, you might do some no reps. Ooh, horrendous.
Yeah.
Know the rules that you're going to do, because the last thing you want to do is go into your Hyrox, getting penalties, getting sent back 5 meters, getting 30-second penalties, 3-minute penalties, even getting disqualified. Even if you thought, oh, I don't want to do the full one because it's going to take me 2 hours and it's really hard. Okay, maybe do 50% of it and get used to just going from one thing to the next. Yeah. Maybe do 60%, 70%, 80%, whatever you're at. Work to your level. And then the bonus tip that I'm going to give is, and it was to do, I can't remember what you said at the beginning. Oh yeah, it was to do when you said you're doing your wall balls and you're squatting down to one side. Right, a good thing to do in your training is record yourself. So record yourself doing the wall balls,
so
see how they look. Record yourself doing your lunges.
So embarrassing.
And your burpees, all the things where you do. Record yourself doing your backward sled pulls. You've only got a little box to work in. If in your training, you're using half the gym to walk the way back, you want to map it out, go, this is what I'm doing, record it, have a look at your squats, have a look at your technique.
It's so cringy, but it's so true. You film me loads of times, so I know now.
It's so hard to tell yourself. If you something you can tell when you're shifting to the side.
I can feel it.
But a lot of the time, if you don't realise, you don't realise. So if you're doing your lunges and your knees coming in, and you've only just realised that when you're recording yourself because you've stuck the camera in front of you, then you go, actually, I've got something that I can work on here and something that I can develop that's going to help me get better at Hyrox that I didn't even know that I did. So that's your little bonus tip. Record yourself when you're doing it.